What's
Anyway,
next?
talking about actors, let's talk about John Boyega.
Mm-hmm.
So
Oh,
you might remember.
yes, and this is going to come. This is gonna, I predict. We were talking last week about testable novel predictions.
Yep.
I think that what you're about to tell us about is going to start popping up once or twice a week now for a while, or at least for the foreseeable future. We're going to start seeing more and more John Boyega stories.
Maybe. So you might remember after episode 9, John Boyega was very unhappy with how he was treated and how his character was treated and with
Yes.
Star Wars in general.
Yes. And in fact,
Um,
go ahead and do your thing, but I want to add something to this because
Yeah.
I know that that people are always really shocked to know how much I love The Last Jedi. But just like everything else that exists, nothing is perfect. And there's a very specific writing thing with John Boyega that I really dislike about The Last Jedi that we're going to talk about. But go ahead.
Okay. So like he was really unhappy and he gave a bunch of interviews to the effect of I'm really unhappy with Star Wars and I don't ever want to do it again.
Yeah.
Uh a few years have passed since then, and he
Mhm.
has apparently either mellowed out or changed his mind, possibly because of a bucket of money from Disney.
Yeah.
And he's given a few interviews where he's sort of walked it back a little bit and said, you know, I'm open to all characters and all scripts. Like if someone brings an offer to me, I'll consider it with an
Yeah.
open mind. Um, this plus last week we were talking about how Daisy Ridley had apparently been working behind the scenes to try to convince John Boyega to come back and
Yeah.
do the new Jedi or a Star Wars
Yeah.
project with her.
From what I understand, they're actually pretty close. Like
Yeah.
like in real life, they enjoy each other quite a bit. Not like that, but like they're
Yeah.
they're like friends.
And this has led to eventually John Boyega going on social media and saying, "Look, if I was in anything, I would tell you. Like I'd tell you as soon as I could. I'm not in anything currently. Like don't believe the rumors. Just listen for actual news," which is kind of responsible, but also what I
Also,
would expect someone under a Disney
yeah.
NDA to say.
Yeah, it could literally be a lie. In fact,
Yes.
from now on, I just assume whenever someone's like, "I'm not in that," fucking lie. Like unless they're dead, and even nowadays, if you're dead, you're still going to be in a movie anyway. It doesn't even matter.
Yep.
Yeah. So I think he probably I really respect the stand that he took over how his character was treated and how he was treated as an actor, as a black
Mhm.
actor, and he obviously has my support for that. It is a reality, however, that that is an industry that if you burn bridges, you will never work there again. That is just the nature of it. And I could see John Boyega making the decision to kind of tone down his criticism so he can work. And
Sure.
I'm not the person who can be like that's right or that's wrong, or that's cowardly or whatever. That is it's his torch to bear, but you also have to work. And if his dream is being an actor, maybe he'll use it. He'll find a good balance of be an actor, but also try to change things in a way that still gets him work.
Mhm.
So
What I can absolutely believe happened is John Boyega was young and angry, and he had an outlet in the press and gave these interviews saying, you
yeah,
know, I'm angry. I want things to be different. And then, like shortly after those interviews circulated, his agent or someone in his inner circle pulled him aside and said, "Look, you need to walk this back.
yep,
Or at the very least, just stop giving interviews until you've cooled down a little bit,
yep,
because you won't work
yeah.
anymore if you keep doing this."
Yeah, I kind of appreciate this. I wrote a paper, or not a paper. I wrote a column. When we were in school, I wrote for a column that was really popular in a school paper called "Some
Hmm.
Pithy Conjecture," and when there was a beloved dean at our school that was fired, uh, and it was wrong, and I wrote a scathing maybe irresponsible column that almost got me expelled from school. So like I get it. Like there are certain ways to fight the fight, and you got to live to fight another day. So So
Hmm.
I'm gonna give you this next part. That way I can clip it, and we can get some clickbait going.
Oh boy.
But I'm gonna tell you what I hate about Star Wars: The Last Jedi, which
Okay.
is almost nothing, by the way.
Mhm.
Actually, I think it's fucking great, and it's my third favorite Star Wars movie. And if you want to come at me about that, you can eat my ass, and I'll fucking enjoy it. However, like I said, there is no perfect film, and there's one thing that just really fucking gets me. And I wish I could go back in time and grab Ryan Johnson by the shirt and be like, you haven't considered this. And uh, I consider myself to be, where writing is concerned, educated. You know,
Okay. Yeah.
I, uh, as a hobby, I've written a lot, but I've also taken, you know, the coursework and some of the coursework and everything, and it's one of those things I'm interested in. So when someone's like, "Oh, the writing's really bad," it's like you don't know what the fuck you're talking about. I kind of do though, and there's this thing when you're writing a story where you have to make good on the promises that you make, right? In a
Hmm.
plot. So you set up a tone. Like if you're writing a novel, you set up a tone in the beginning, and you're making a promise. Or if you write a character and you give them a motivation, you are making a promise to the reader, to the viewer, that something is going to happen. And when
Chekhov's gun, right? If
yeah,
there's a gun on the wall in scene one, it must go
yeah,
off in act two or
yeah,
whatever.
yeah, that is the whole Chekhov's thing is a very clumsy, unsubtle version of what I'm talking about, but basically yes.
Yeah.
And there was a promise made to the viewer at the end of Force Awakens and at the beginning of The Last Jedi that Finn was going to find and reunite with Rey, and that was what his purpose was going to be. And it's not what happens with him in The Last Jedi. And to me, that story is one big flaw, which I could find in every Star Wars movie, with the exception of Empire and Jedi, because they're both to me probably perfect movies. But that promise, you know, he starts off first. The first fucking thing that character says, "Where is Rey?" Right,
Mhm.
and it goes from that to meeting Rose and then going off on an adventure to find a code breaker, and they don't even look at each other until the very end. And when they do, that promise is unfulfilled because they've done nothing together to kind of fulfill that. Like, do you see where I do, like, what I kind of
Yeah.
mean by the
Yeah.
whole like promises thing? That's the thing about Last Jedi that I really do not like.